Well, hello, internets. It's me, DP Knudten, for another exciting Friday night edition of Bookward Bound. 301 days from I should really do this to done. And it's all about me making a commitment to you to actually work on creating a new book by January 1st of 2021. I'm not feeling it right now. I'll be honest with you, because it's been a long day. I had two major presentations today for clients and for another group that I'm involved with. And I'm one of those introverts where, you do a presentation, you're up, you're on, and you walk off stage and you go, put me in my box and don't bother me for a week. Well, that was times two today. Plus, my daughter, who was in the UK, the United Kingdom, just got back after an emergency trip back to the United States because of the current situation we're in. So it's, I think for all of us, it's been a pretty unusual week at best, and maybe even a little frightening at worst, or worse. For me, I'm a Libra, man. I'm not a big one for astrology, but boy, I totally get that balance thing because it's so appropriate for me. I don't get overly freaked out, and I don't get overly excited. I just am Libra. I am the scales. However, I did make a commitment to you, the internet, and to myself to actually move the ball forward on this book project, and so I'm going to, with a little help from my friends, via the internets. That's right, all the internets, not just the internet, but all the internets. And anyway, I want to make sure that I've got some stuff up, like my comment window. I definitely want to have up because I know I'm just going to have tons of people commenting and asking questions, and I want to be able to see those questions as they occur live, so that I can answer those questions. If you have any questions, chime in anytime because I'm easily distracted, and your questions will certainly do that for me. It will distract me from the fact that I really don't want to be doing this right now. But that's the whole thing. Writing a book is a slog. It is a pain. And anyone who says, oh, it just flew off my pen, my wit, my brilliance, just literally from my pen to the paper, it's done. I call BS on that. It's like pulling out the most difficult hair that doesn't want to leave your body. And when it does, it springs forth with a great deal of pain and agony. And maybe I shouldn't write fiction. Anyway, so I'm working on my book, and I'm doing it via a couple of different techniques. And one of them is this one. Hold on, I need to hit this to current application. And you can see my mind map. I'm using iThoughts X, which is a Mac-based application for mind mapping. What's a mind map? Well, it allows you to do cool stuff like this. Expand it out. You've got all your ideas there. I don't want to think about these things, so I'm going to close them down. I'm only going to focus on this. No, maybe I'll focus on this section of the book. I can blow that up and focus only on that. I can move stuff around. It's incredibly flexible. It's like outlining, but outlining on steroids. So I am going to look at my outline. And so some of this live stream, I'm sorry, is going to be you watching me look at my outline going, Atlanta agency story. If you don't write fiction, I guess you're a nonfiction writer. Oh, a concept I definitely want to get in here. Completely true, completely you. Now, I'm getting this idea down in my mind map. That doesn't mean it's going to stay right there, because I can always do this. I can always move it up here, or I can move it back down there. I can move this down here. I can move it up here, whatever. But I'm getting the ideas down that all revolve around the central idea of the book, which is what I call nonfiction branding, which is great for personal brands and small business brands and any brand, to be honest. But this book is going to be geared towards small businesses, i.e. businesses under 50 people, and also personal brands within businesses and personal brands who are their own business. So it's kind of like three sectors: solopreneurs, people who are building their own personal brand and their own business based on it; personal brands that work underneath a corporate brand and want to know how they can do that effectively and truthfully to who they are, what they do, and how they do it. And then the final group is small businesses, because here's the reality. If you're a small business, you're actually a personal brand. You know, one of the things I like to say to people who go, well, should I be branding myself or my business? I'll say, how do you answer your phone? Ooh, good point, David. I have to put that in here. How do? So my kind of top level ideas I'm putting in all caps just as a cue to me that this might be a top level chapter within the book. And then stuff that supports it, like that's the brand you should be building. Hold on, I want to do one other thing. I want to get Restream chat open, just in case that works better, if anybody wishes to speak. All right. So, what am I going to do today? I'm going to add some more ideas or some more major stuff. A logo's not a brand, but it's part of one. How do you answer your phone? Give that a question mark. Oh, yeah, I also want to make note that I want I'm going to call it podcast pull quotes for each section. Okay, what's a pull quote? Well, you know, it has several different definitions depending on who you talk to, but I use a pull quote to mean like I talk to someone for 15 minutes. In the middle of that 15-minute conversation, there's a really great 2-sentence saying. You pull it out, or you leave it where it is, but you also copy and paste it, and then you highlight it on the side to make it a little bit more prominent. It's like the important stuff that's said. You just want to say, this is really important. Well, I've got a podcast, Nonfiction Brand, that comes out every Monday, and I have a variety of expert guests and people who are seeking to build their personal brands and their small business brands, and they bring a lot to the table. I mean, I learn a ton, a metric boatload ton of stuff from these people. And so what I want to do is tap into their abilities, their understandings. And also, frankly, I want to give them credit for all the great ideas that they're sharing with me and my audience. So I think I want to do a technique that, hold on while I get the book. If I can, yeah, right here. One of my favorite marketing writers is a guy named Mark Schaefer. And his book, Marketing Rebellion, which came out, I think, last year, really, really good. Yeah, it came out in February of 2019. At the beginning of each of his chapters or each of his sections, I want to find an example. he will have a chapter, a number, of course, a chapter title, and then a quote. And in this case, it's an Irish proverb that says, "When mistrust comes in, love goes out." Oh, okay. So this chapter is obviously going to be about trust and loyalty. So having that little feature in there kind of is a nice entree to the subject matter of the chapter. I think I might do something similar, but instead of having quotes or proverbs, sayings, I think I'm going to try to listen back on some of my best guests and find a pull quote and take it from that and actually refer to Nonfiction Brand Podcast episode 42 or whatever it is, whatever they're on, so that people can, in a way, it's marketing my own podcast within my own book that is going to be called the same thing as my podcast. So right now, the podcast is called, or let me pull this up, I'll show you. Podcast. So every week I do what's called an audiogram for the podcast. And this is what an audiogram looks like. So when I play it.
This week on the Nonfiction Brand Podcast.
And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned is, unfortunately, it's been a more recent lesson, is just to be self-aware, be aware of who you are and figure that out as early.
It's actually coming from the podcast itself, from the guest on that podcast. And it's just giving a flavor, a little, it literally is a pull quote from the podcast. Well, guess what? That might be the source of my pull quotes. I might actually go back and look at all my audiograms that I use to promote the podcast, because I've already done the work identifying what good information or good pithy stuff people have said during the episodes in the audiogram. So I'm going to make note of that. Pull quotes for each section. Review all audiograms for quality quotes. And the thing is, as I come up with a theme, I can go back and mine those episodes, trying to find quotes that support my major thesis for that section. Smart, huh? Plus, I'm going to do this. Site specific. Episode in quote. Good. So again, I'm tired. It's a Friday night. I really don't want to be doing this. And I've already advanced my book down the field a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And that's really what I need to do. And that's why I'm doing 301 of these consecutively. And again, I'm not going to write every word of the book live online in front of you, but I'm using you, frankly, as my gym buddy to make me get off my butt and go to the gym and work out. And some days, going to the gym, all I can do is hit the treadmill, put it on 3 miles an hour, and do a slow walk while I listen to a podcast. Okay, well, guess what? That's better than sitting at home on my butt not doing anything. So thank you, gym buddy, for helping me help myself by getting off the couch and to my keyboard to start thinking about this stuff. Thank you. But back to this bad boy. I need to get a Roger Wakefield photo. Again, this is one of the things you can do too, is make note of the graphics you need. Because, well, no offense to Mark Schaefer, whose book I really, really like. Where'd he go? There he is. Mark Schaefer's book, page, and it's words, which is fine, but we live in an increasingly visual society. Plus, I love breaking up big chunks of words, big paragraphs of words with images. So I'm going to make a note here that I need Roger Wakefield photo. Springfield. YouTube video screenshot. Because I know I'm going to be demonstrating what he does by just grabbing a screenshot. Oh, and then I need to include permalink in copy. I need to include a permalink to that specific video so that people can literally type in that permalink and see the video I'm citing. Again, trying to create a really interesting book that is like, oh, that looks really cool. And maybe this isn't a great strategy because people would put the book down and then go look at the video. But frankly, I want this to be an interactive experience. And so not just one where you sit back, you read the book and go, yeah, that was kind of fun. Got something out of it, I guess. Instead, I want people to go, oh, wow, cool. I want to check that out. Go look at the video. Oh, that was really neat. Now I understand what he's saying. Let's get back to the book because there's more exciting, interesting stuff in there. So, but I'm just a plumber. Yeah, there's that. Fewer, better. I'm just going to shut that down for now. Unless I can think of somebody who's... Sarah Gross is solely on LinkedIn. Molly Mahoney's an expert at pretty much only Facebook. Sean Cannell, I don't know if I spelled his name right, is all over YouTube. I want to see, and this would be a big get if I could get it. Have you heard of Dr. Disrespect? I'm serious. There's a guy named literally Guy Beam, Dr. Disrespect, and he's all over Twitch. So much so that I think he just got a multi-million-dollar contract with Twitch to continue doing what he's doing there. He's building his personal brand hugely. He's building his empire on Twitch hugely, and he plays as a character named Dr. Disrespect, playing first-person shooter games like Call of Duty, Escape from Tarkov, I think is a new one, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and also even Fortnite. He's a really good player, and he would be good, but what makes him great is his Dr. Disrespect character. So I definitely would want, if he'd let me do it, a Guy Beam Dr. Disrespect duo photo. You know, it's like you see the AB version. Here's Guy, here's Dr. Disrespect. Or it's almost like a before and after. So I'm going to put that down. And again, I'm getting the ideas down. I haven't written a flippin' word of this book yet, per se. But I'm already coming up with what I think will make for really interesting content in the book. So let's see. Who do I know that's doing Instagram only? Oh, I'm going to be talking to somebody. She may be good. I don't know. What's her name? Deborah? I think it's Neiman. And frankly, I haven't talked to her yet. If she's an Instagram only person, I might be talking to her. She's all about building a personal brand based on goats. Yep. Believe it or not, I heard this story at Social Media Marketing World. I think it's great. Friends of mine were telling me about this woman they had met who was doing Instagram and building her personal brand. And her Instagram handle is Thrifty Homesteader. And, you know, homesteading, a lot of people are on Instagram and Facebook on how you build a small farm or a farmette, how you live an off-the-grid lifestyle. Kind of like the tiny house movement and stuff like that. Excuse me. Um, well, I heard that this woman Deborah, who I haven't talked to yet, but I'm going to. We're recording a podcast session this coming week. She actually is specializing in goats. So, if you go to @thriftyhomesteader on Instagram, you're going to see her feed is nothing but goats. Everything from cute baby goats to goats on people's backs, photos of that, to here's an interesting goat disease. How do you know if this is a goiter or open weeping sore? Okay, I exaggerate a little, but not by much, because she's going deep on goats. Talk about your niche. Pat Flynn likes to say the riches are in the niches. Well, I got to see if Deborah's riches are in the niches where goats happen to live. That's going to be an interesting story, and I think it'll make an interesting story for my book as well. And get me in the hook me up in the very, very lucrative homesteader movement community. If they know I'm featuring Deborah, it's a book they have to get, right? Well, maybe not. All right, so back here. Yeah, because I really want to focus on people who are doing one platform really, really well. Let's leave that for now, but again, keep it in hand. Keep thinking about it. All right, so where am I? Personal brands that blew up. Yeah, I do want to talk about goats. So these guys. Ooh, Australian Open. Okay, this story, I've already told it on this episode or on BOOKWARD Bound, but I'm going to tell you again because it's a really interesting story. The same people who told me about Deborah, the woman who's building her brand on goats, told me about a friend of theirs or someone they had met from Australia who was a pro golfer, but not necessarily PGA, Pro Golfing Association quality, not the first tier of players in the world. But he always wanted to see if he could compete in the Australian Open. And the Australian Open, in order to be a true open, means it's open to all comers. If you can compete, you can earn a spot in the actual tournament. But you have to compete like with a bunch of amateurs or semi-pros or pro players, pro golfers, before you can get up there playing with the bigs, the real big guys. So this guy wanted to get in the Australian Open or at least be able to compete for it. So he made a commitment to do 191 days of consecutive live streams showing him working on what he was doing to become a better golfer or to prepare himself to compete for a spot in the Australian Open. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy cool. And then my friend Todd said, well, that's not all. When he was done at the end of the 191 days, he did compete, but he didn't make it. Well, he's just a mortal like the rest of us. But his audience grew the entire time he was doing them, to the point that somebody sent him a letter saying something along the lines of, I followed this. It was really fun to follow your journey. I really appreciate what you did and what I learned by following you. Here's a check for $10,000. I would like you to donate it to the charity of your choice. Then he got another letter from another guy because he publicized the fact that, take a look at this. I got a $10,000 check. Thank you so much for watching my stream, much less giving me a $10,000 check. Well, another guy sent him a letter saying, sorry, I don't have $10,000, but I do have $1,000. Please do the same thing and donate it to charity. The goodwill this dude generated. You have to ask yourself, if any of the people who watched his stream ever need a golf pro to help them with their golf game, who are they going to call? They're going to call this guy. Or let's say one of those guys who donated the big dollars owned a company, and he said, you know what? We always go golfing when we have sales meetings. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite a golf pro to work with my sales team so that they can become better golfers, just kind of as a fun perk. Like as the morning crew goes out, this guy's going to work with the guys who are going in the afternoon and vice versa. When the guys from the morning come back, they can have a mini class with this dude. And who are they going to hire if they think that's a good idea? They're going to hire the guy they have the relationship with who's already given them so much. Wow. I thought, wow, 191 days. Look at that right there. You know, the BOOKWARD BOUND, 301 days from I should really do this to done. Where do you think that 301 came from? The inspiration of 191. And frankly, when I made the commitment to write this book, I didn't know there were 301 days left until January 1st, 2021. But when I found out there was, that's the number that on the day I started this, I was like, oh, relieved, and then went, oh, no. I've got to do 301 days of this, even if I'm not feeling it? And the answer is, yes, David, you do. And by the way, David is my real name. DP is my professional name. There's a whole story to that, ooh, which I should include in the book. See? Oh, yeah, probably early on, because this absolutely has to do with personal branding. And this will be a chapter. What's with the DP question mark? Because people want to know what's with it. Well, the short answer is DP stands for David Paul. That's my name. But I worked at a place where there were 5 Davids, or I was going to be the 5th David in a creative group at an ad agency in Chicago. I got a call from the office manager. They were getting ready to get my business cards, and they said, what name do you want on your business card? And I said, well, how about my name, David? And they said, kind of a problem. There are 4 Davids in the group. Only one of them is called David, per se. Everyone else has a nickname. So if you want to have a nickname that's under your control, you might want to tell us what that is. Tell me what that is right now. Or maybe we'll just wait and see what they call you. And I said, I'm not taking that chance. I don't need to be called Sheila. Instead, I said, well, I had been an actor in my 20s, and I went by David Paul. David Paul Knudten, because if I was at an audition and they called out David Paul, I knew it was me. So I said I didn't want the David Paul thing anymore. I was transitioning out of that affectation. So I thought, well, a lot of writers go by their, initials. J.R.R. Tolkien was I'm a big fan of Tolkien. Nowadays, everyone knows J.K. Rowling. That I decided to be DP before JK, and I'm not just kidding. But DP, okay, I'll go with that. Well, it's stuck professionally, because if someone says, I was talking to David, they'd be going, well, which David? But I was talking to DP, they know exactly who I am. Differentiation, huge part of branding, which, again, that's going to be part of the book. I've already got that down here. Branding, number 1 goal, differentiation. Number 1 technique, demonstration. All righty. You know what? I've been on long enough. It's a Friday night. I'm tired, and everybody is watching somebody else. So I think I'm going to hang it up for tonight. Thank you so much for watching, if you are, in fact, watching. I'm going to see my stats. Anybody watching? It doesn't look like it. That's okay, because I'm here for you, but I'm here even when you're not. And also, the replay of this video will be available on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook anyway, so whatever. I'm DP Knudten for the Nonfiction Brand Podcast. Nonfiction Brandversity, which is a free Facebook group that you can join. All you have to do is search Nonfiction Brandversity on the big Facebook and ask to join. Answer 3 questions to prove you're not a bot, and you're in. And I'm also the author of the yet-to-be-written book, Nonfiction Brand, Discovering, Crafting, and Communicating the Completely True, Completely You Nonfiction Brand you or authentic brand you already are. Yeah, I don't need to say nonfiction brand twice. That's all for me today. Let's have a little outro music. Cue up the nonfiction branding theme. That's right. Ooh, let's play that again. Now I can safely let you go and have a great night. By the way, stay close to your family, wash your hands, and let's ride this out together with a smile on our face. And ideally, a Corona in our hand, but no coronavirus in our bodies. Sound good? That's what I'm going to do right now. I'll talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.